So I want to welcome all of our guests, all of our business partners, all of our healthcare professionals. I'm Dr. Rita McGuire, and this is the Doctor's Edition every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I am joined here with our Wakana Advisory, Medical Advisory Board that presents information that I think all healthcare professionals should hear and learn about as it relates to CBD. If it is a dentist or a chiropractor or a psychologist, psychiatrist, family practitioner, massage therapist, nurse practitioner, CNRAs, whatever healthcare professional that you know that really needs to hear this information, we want you to invite them each and every Tuesday night. So a little bit about me. I'm a obstetrician gynecologist of over 30 years. I'm telling you, during this pandemic, I feel like I'm an infectious disease physician, right? I've done about 400 vaccinations today, but by trade, I'm an obstetrician gynecologist. I studied my medical school training at Wayne State School of Medicine in Detroit, Michigan. I completed my residency at Cook County here in Chicago. I'm the CEO of our JM Wellness and Rip Rita Fitness. I'm a global speaker on women's health and fitness. I'm also a certifying physician for not only the medical marijuana program here in the state of Illinois, but the opioid exchange program as well. I'm a member of the Doctors for Cannabis Regulation and the chief medical officer and one of the co-founders for Wakana for Life, one of the only CBD companies owned by minority women here in Chicago, in Illinois. So as a physician, you know, we are very, very used to seeing many of our patients that come in the office with bags and bags of pills, or maybe their medicine cabinet looks like. In fact, the average 50-year-old is said to be on 7 to 8 medications. The average 70-year-old is on about 10 to 12 medications. So CBD is something that many of our patients want us to know more about. They want us to feel very comfortable and empowered with the information that we can then share with them about an alternative for their health. But unfortunately, many physicians like myself that I know, many dentists, many chiropractors even, are thumbs down on any alternative, be it CBD or essential oils or any botanical or herb. Why? Is because we just are not privy to that information during medical school. We're just not taught about alternatives, holistic alternatives in medicine. So when we talk about cannabis, in fact, you know, that's something else that less than 5% of medical schools today are teaching their students about. They're not learning about what we talk about very shortly, the endocannabinoid system. They're not talking about the science and the data that really shows that this plant is an alternative. This plant has been used medicinally since 2737 BC. So this is not anything new, but absolutely something that needs to be brought back to our educational platforms in medical school, in dental school, in pharmacy school. When we talk about the plant, though, it's important to understand that the cannabis plant is the family. The family has 2 species, and this is probably the most important part of tonight's webinar because many people don't understand the difference between CBD and medical marijuana. So when we look at marijuana, that's one species of the plant that makes the person who consumes marijuana high. It has a euphoria, a paranoia that comes about those who consume marijuana. Why? Well, marijuana, that species, has a high level of THC. THC is the part of the plant that gives the psychoactive components. Marijuana also has something called CBD. It's the second most common compound, whereas CBD or cannabidiol, even though it's found in small percentages in marijuana, it's really the part of the plant that has more of the medicinal benefits. And then we have the hemp species. The hemp species is opposite of the marijuana species. See, the hemp species has high levels of CBD and very trace amounts of THC. In fact, by definition, hemp is defined as containing 0.3% or less of THC. So what we have is a plant, the family, cannabis, that has two species. One gives the person the high when they consume it, and the other species, the hemp, gives you all of the health benefits. So that is the difference. It's important to know the difference, and it's important to know that there is an opportunity for your patients to have the same medicinal benefits that we see overall in the cannabis plant, but without the high, and that's through the hemp. Some of the other things that are important as physicians that we should know is that CBD can negatively interact with other drugs. Many of our patients, again, are on medication. So CBD can sometimes, in certain situations, cause an antagonistic interaction or cause an inhibition, meaning that it will cause the opposite effect to medications that our patients are taking. It can reduce the effectiveness. Or CBD can cause a potentiation in that medication. It can be an agnostic interaction. That means that it can produce a medication to be too strong, right? And then it's important to know that CBD is metabolized in the liver. And many, many medications are metabolized through the liver. There are different pathways that we'll learn about a little later from my colleague, Dr. Joy Smith, about the different pathways. So yes, it's important that we learn about how cannabis works in our body, because there are many drugs that could negatively or positively interact. So again, CBD is the rage among our patients. More and more patients are coming and asking us about CBD. If we would recommend CBD, how does CBD work? So it's important that we learn. Another question is that, CBD, can it show up in a drug test? And that's really important, right? We don't want any of our patients losing their jobs. And so there are CBD products that can be safely consumed without showing up on the drug test. That's why it's important that your patients are purchasing products from a reputable and legitimate company, a company that is sourcing their CBD from hemp and not marijuana. Also, it's important to understand that there is something called a broad spectrum product and a full spectrum product. A broad spectrum product is a product that those who have drug screens can safely take. It's important that the product is organically sourced, that the hemp is grown organically. It's important that the product is tested and that third-party validation ensures the legal limit of THC. It ensures that there's no pesticides, no mold, no mildew, no heavy metals that make it very safe for our patients. So again, this is another diagram or a slide that shows that if your patients take a full spectrum product, again, that's a product that contains 0.3% or less of THC, they potentially could fail their drug screen. Even though that's a small amount of THC, that person could metabolize that product in such a way where they could fail their drug screen. So again, there's something called broad spectrum products that contain less than 0.0% less of THC that they can safely take and pass their drug screen. So who really made cannabis mainstream? What was it that happened in the medical healthcare professional industry that made cannabis come back to light. And it was Dr. Sanjay Gupta. In 2013, he came and really made a public apology because in 2019, he said no to cannabis. He said there is absolutely no medicinal benefit. There's no data that shows that it is effective. In fact, it's a Schedule I drug. In fact, it's not been shown to be safe. But in 2013, he had to make a public apology, a national apology, by saying that he didn't dig deep enough. He didn't dig far enough in the research. He didn't look at the thousands of people that he followed for years to show that it has helped many people. One being a little girl by the name of Charlotte Fiji, who was having 300 seizures a week. And when her parents introduced her to CBD, she was able to go down from 300 seizures to 3 seizures. So Dr. Sanjay Gupta was very instrumental in making not only cannabis mainstream, but CBD as well. It's important that you know that the only FDA approved prescription, CBD prescription, is Epidiolex. Epidiolex is a pharmaceutical medication that is manufactured by GW Pharmaceuticals, and it is approved to treat seizures in children who have Lennox-Gastaut syndrome, who have Dravet syndrome, and who have tuberous sclerosis complex. Again, this is a medication that has been altered in the lab. It's a synthetic medication, but it is the only approved prescription by the FDA. So let's look again at the plant, the cannabis plant. CBD that is sourced from hemp is legal. And why is it legal? How is it legal? Well, in 2018, after being illegal for over 60, 70, 80 years, it was removed from the Schedule I drug list. It was removed from the same list that LSD is on, that cocaine and heroin is on. The 2018 Farm Bill makes CBD that's sourced from hemp legal to be consumed, to be cultivated and sold in all 50 states. So that is on the hemp side. So let's look at CBD or cannabidiol. Again, I told you that the plant makes over 130, 140 compounds, but these are the main players as healthcare professionals that we should understand and know that these cannabinoids or compounds are really the main ones that we see in many of our products. But CBD, cannabidiol, has a long list, is the hero, right? It's the one that has the medicinal benefits that synergistically, when we put all of these compounds together in a full spectrum product, that's when we see on a cellular level, many of our patients improving with challenges that they're dealing with. Why? Well, CBD has been shown to be antibacterial. It's been shown to inhibit cancer cell growth. It's neuroprotective. It helps to promote bone growth. It reduces seizures and convulsions. It reduces blood sugar levels. It reduces the function of the immune system, meaning that when we have those autoimmune conditions, when we have those hyperimmune disorders like fibromyalgia and lupus and multiple sclerosis, CBD can help to reduce the activity in the immune system. It helps to reduce inflammation and pain. It helps to reduce anxiety. It helps to treat skin disorders like psoriasis and eczema and acne, and it's vasorelaxant. It helps to dilate those vessels in our patients who are diabetic and hypertensive and have heart disease. And along with CBD, CBG, CBC, Delta-8, THC, Delta-9 THC, you can see they all have their medicinal benefits as well. And you may ask, well, how does this work? I mean, how does it work in the body when someone consumes, our patients consume CBD? Well, the science is there. It's through the human endocannabinoid system, which was discovered in the early 1990s. I was at Wayne State School of Medicine during this time. I wasn't taught about the human endocannabinoid system, but it definitely was discovered. And this system is deemed the most vital regulatory system. I mean, this system modulates and regulates our metabolism, our appetite, our mood, our sleep-wake cycles, our ability to reduce anxiety and depression. And the way it does that is there are receptors. And you can see in the diagram, these receptors are found throughout the entire body, in our brain, our central nervous system, our immune system, our periphery, our different organs and glands, like our heart, our lungs, our teeth even, our bowel, our stomach, our liver, our lungs. And when CBD and these cannabinoids are ingested, they combine with these receptors, they lock onto these receptors, and they send signals to those areas in the body that are out of balance, those areas in the body that have a high level of inflammation. And they put the body back in balance. They put the body back in a homeostasis sort of environment. So again, the science is there about how cannabis works in the body. We even have endogenous cannabinoids. Our body produces cannabinoids very much like the plant. Anandamide and 2-AG are two of the more common cannabinoids that our body produces. But unfortunately, we all need CBD because our body is very deficient many times of these endocannabinoids. They're deficient of these endocannabinoids because of the stress we're under, because of the lack of sleep, because of the water we drink, the food we're eating, the processed foods we're eating. So this is why we need to consume cannabinoids that the plant makes. So there are different ways to consume CBD. There's capsules, there's edibles, there's oral applications, tinctures. There's liquids, there's water-soluble products that you can have patients put in their food and in their beverages. There's vape cartridges, there's vape pens, there's topicals. So there's a whole array of different ways that your patients can absolutely have an alternative to their health to bring more wellness around. So when we look at the way that the endocannabinoid system works, many of you remember in neuroscience and neurology, that part of schooling that we have something called neurons and neurotransmitters. Well, in the endocannabinoid system, the neurotransmission goes retrograde. It goes backwards. What happens when you consume CBD? It binds to receptors in the postsynaptic area and sends a signal to the presynaptic area. So the receiving neuron is really the presynaptic area. And when they really looked at the science in the endocannabinoid system, they looked at the fact that because it's a retrograde transmission, we see more of a profound effect when we're looking at hyperactivity, when we're looking at seizure disorders, when we're looking at anxiety, when we're looking at a lot of inflammation and an immune system that may be overactive in a person with multiple sclerosis. We're seeing a profound effect when we consume CBD because the neurotransmission is retrograde. So it really helps to diminish that hyperactivity. So I think the science is really exciting when we think about it is a retrograde or upstream sort of transmission. Again, the receptors are found in really important parts of the brain and the central nervous system. When we talk about movement disorders, again, when we talk about mood, when we talk about depression, this is how CBD is so effective. Again, the signals is retrograde. When the cannabinoids bind to the receptors, they send that neurotransmission, be it to the immune system, be it to neurons in the central nervous system. The science is there. And speaking of science, where do you find the data? Lots and lots of data. Because healthcare professionals, we want to see data. We want to see research. Lots of the data can be found in PubMed. You can find articles there. There's lots of articles that are now being done because in 2018, the Farm Bill was passed. We're now seeing more studies on humans here in the United States. Lots of studies have been done for decades in other countries, but now we're seeing data in cannabinoids in cancer treatment, cannabinoid treatment for anxiety disorders, cannabinoid treatment for really difficult to treat pain, those patients that we have that have sciatica and neuropathy. So, the science is there. Hopefully, as healthcare professionals, you're on the line, you feel a lot more comfortable about the science, the endocannabinoid system, and how it works in our patients. So I'm going to now hand it over to my colleague, Dr. Joyce Smith, who is a lead pharmacist at Stroger Hospital. She's also one of our experts on other botanicals, not only CBD, but essential oils and holistic way of addressing our health. Dr. Joyce Smith, are you out there?
I sure am. I sure am. How is everybody this evening? Dr. Rita, thank you for that amazing introduction. As Dr. Rita stated, I am Dr. Joyce Smith. I went to Florida A&M University for my doctorate in pharmacy, and I've been licensed in the state of Illinois as a pharmacist for about 8 years now. So I've been in a variety of settings. I do work at her alma mater, John Stroger Hospital, or for those who have been around for a while, Cook County Hospital. And as a pharmacist, I knew that I was in the profession that I was in because I wanted to help people. But I discovered over time that I wanted to help people in a different way, or in addition to the skill sets that I have as a pharmacist, I wanted to help them from a more natural, holistic perspective. So that led me to seek out some other options. So becoming an integrative nutrition health coach, a certified aromatherapist. I love oils, right? And when I met Dr. Rita, when I found out about the wonderful mission of Wakana, when I just found out how it aligns so well with not only my goals for my own health and wellness, but the goals for the patients that I encounter, Wakana just stole my heart as well. So in an effort to make sure that I have the proper education, in addition to what Wakana provides, and just to be a part of other like-minded individuals, such as other pharmacists that understand the benefits of cannabis, I became a member of the International Society of Cannabis Pharmacists. So it's just all about surrounding myself with like-minded individuals, those who understand the benefits of plant-based healing. So some of the reasons that people seek CBD, Dr. Rita gave us so many resources and so many things that we can go to find the research, because like she said, healthcare professionals want to see the research. They want to see the numbers, the statistics. And so people are seeking out CBD for pain, anxiety, depression, insomnia as well. But these are some of the other main ones that they're seeking it out for. And so this particular cross-sectional study talks about, let me move myself out the way here, talks about how chronic pain is the #1 cause of disability and disease burden globally. I know we all know people that are in pain and have been for a long time. Talk about anxiety disorders. People 18 and older, that's over 18.1% of the population every year are suffering from mental illnesses related to anxiety disorders. And then there's about 6.7% of American adults that have been or had at least one major depressive episode in a given year. And we know that with COVID-19, that's massively, massively multiplied, right? So this particular quote from the Journal of American Medical Association really got to me, because this describes the patients that I work with. The prevalence of depression symptoms in the US was more than 3-fold higher during COVID-19 compared to before the pandemic. So you're dealing with individuals with low social resources, low economic resources, greater exposure to stressors. At Stroger Hospital, we treat people regardless of ability to pay. Now, we have started taking insurances and those types of things, but at the end of the day, people come to the county hospital because they know that if they don't have it, they can still be treated. And these are the people that I'm encountering every day, but also the people that are dealing with those 3-fold higher incidences of depression. And so when you're talking about stressors, job loss has been so prevalent in this pandemic. Staying home and homeschooling your kids and figuring out what that's going to look like from a working perspective, figuring out how everybody has to adjust to this new normal, those people are reporting a greater burden of depression symptoms. So that really hit home for me, especially because of the patients that I encounter on a daily basis. So when we're talking about depression, pain, anxiety, we have a lot of our patients, as Dr. Rita mentioned, who are saying, I want to try something natural. I want to try something that is not making me feel as bad as my prescription medications. Does that mean to come off of all of their medications and figure out a way that they can just heal from plants? No. But there are other alternatives to help them deal with the symptomatology behind their disease states. So as a healthcare professional, you may say, are there drug-drug interactions between CBD and prescription medications? My patients are coming and asking about it, and I'm really not sure about what to say to them. And that's why it's so important that you do your due diligence, because there are the CYP450 enzymes that we learned about in school, right? There's 6 major ones that metabolize about 90% of the drugs that we're giving our patients, and they also metabolize CBD. So if we go back to school for a minute with CBD metabolism, we know that CBD is a substrate of CYP2C19 and 3A4, but it inhibits the metabolic pathways 2C9, 2D6, and 3A4. Now, if you remember from our studies, 3A4 is a major pathway for a lot of medications, especially some of those chronic conditions that we're treating our patients with. And so the answer, can CBD interact with medications? Yes, it can. Another question, can medication interact with other medications? Yes, it can. But what do we do when one medication interacts with another, but the patient needs both in order to address their disease state? We space it out, right? We space out the medication at least 2 to 4 hours to make sure that one medication is not traveling down the same metabolic pathway at the same time, thus causing interaction. So there's the same thing that you could do with the CBD that you may be talking to your patients about. If they say, yes, I want to try CBD, don't be scared of it. Don't run from it. Make sure that you educate yourself with the studies, with the scholarly articles, with the research, so that you can provide these answers to your patients. Now, I have some of the medications that CBD interacts with typically, and I picked all of these disease states because these are the disease states that a lot of my patients that I see in outpatient, this is a lot of what they're dealing with: hyperlipidemia, hypertension, heart complications, anticoagulants. The list goes on and on, but these are things that I see every single day. So a lot of you all, I'm sure, whether you're a healthcare professional or not, recognize these medications and know that there are a lot of patients on them. But what do? Space that medication out 2 to 4 hours from the CBD that's being given, and they'll be able to enjoy the symptomatic relief of the CBD and also take advantage of the benefits that their medications are providing. So you may say, okay, who's using alternative medicine? Why should I care? Why is this such a trend? Where are the trends headed? And this treatment trend chart really shows how more people are seeking out natural alternatives or plant-based or botanical alternatives, specifically these blue lines down at the bottom. So from the span of 2014 to 2025, you're seeing the use of botanicals and the interest in treatment with botanicals moving upward. Now, of course, we don't claim that we're treating anything with our CBD, with our essential oils, but what we will say is that they provide some symptomatic relief. They may be able to address some of the concerns that your patients are dealing with so that they can have a better quality of life. Now, acupuncture, mind-body yoga, all these other types of modalities are being used, but it's about taking care of the total person, using botanicals that are plant-derived, that are not harmful, that don't have a bunch of harmful side effects that make the risk outweigh the benefit. So we want to really pay attention to these, and we want to really open our minds to say, there's a plant-based option, and there's something that our patients can be using in addition to what we're providing. So with that being said, another botanical that's near and dear to my heart, or botanicals that are near and dear to my heart, are essential oils. I mentioned that I'm an aromatherapist, and I'm just fascinated with how essential oils can have such physical, emotional, spiritual properties that really help to bring the body in balance and really help to bring the wellness in balance. So essential oils are highly concentrated aromatic extracts that are distilled from a variety of plant material. You're talking about the flowers, the grasses, the roots, the seeds, and they can relieve pain. They can reduce stress. They can improve mood. There's an entire science behind essential oils, and I could talk about it till I'm blue in the face, but we'll go forward. So this particular picture, is what the doctors look like during the Bubonic Plague. And the reason that I'm bringing this up is because these doctors during the Bubonic Plague would douse their robes, and this is a mask here, it looks like a beak, but they would douse their mask also in a particular essential oil blend. It contains cinnamon, lemon, rosemary, eucalyptus, and clove. And those combined are a blend that viruses cannot really live in the presence of. So it was really, really helping them, and other microbes. It was really, really helping them when they were handling patients that were affected by the bubonic plague, because anybody that went in that area where there were patients that were affected were dying instantly. So of course the doctors had to be there to take care, and they used essential oils, they used botanicals, they used plant-based options in order to help them. Now, again, am I saying that you need to just take your patients off of all their medications, give them a bottle of essential oil and hope for the best? No, I'm speaking to the power of essential oils, how they've been used for years, and how it's just amazing how a lot of our essential oils, our botanicals, CBD even, have some of the same actions or have some of the same protective mechanisms as some of our drugs. So when we're talking about how essential oils work, I'm just going to talk about what happens when you inhale them. So as the essential oil molecules, when you inhale them, go through the olfactory neurons, they affect the limbic system of the brain. That's the part of the brain, as we know, that deals with the memory, the mood. That's why you may smell a perfume or a cologne that may remind you of a family member. You may smell a meal that may remind you of a pastime or a holiday gathering with your family. And as it travels through the olfactory bulb and the nasal cavity and gets to those areas in your brain, it can affect change in how energized you are. It can affect change in raising your mood, dealing with giving your body all these signals that come straight from your brain to all the other areas of your body to affect change in the area that needs it. And that's what happens when we smell it. When you apply essential oils topically, you can apply them with what we call a carrier oil. It's called a carrier oil because it helps to carry the molecules of the essential oils into the cells. So that's almond, coconut oil, avocado oil, grapeseed oil, whatever oil is going to help drive those essential oils into the skin and into the skin cells. When you are inhaling the vapors or having the vapors come through a diffuser, you're addressing airborne microbes depending on which oil you're using. So really, really powerful molecules that don't require a lot of quantity in order to have a quality effect. So the Asian Pacific Journal of Tropical Biomedicine says this: once the oils are in the system, they remodulate themselves, and then they get to the site where they're needed. They go to the site of malfunction. These oils are smart, so they know exactly where to go in order to affect change. And then once they go in and find out where they're supposed to be, they can relieve from numerous ailments: depression, indigestion, headache, insomnia, muscular pain. The list goes on and on and on. What's important to note, though, is that the essential oils are found to be more beneficial when you're giving other aspects of life consideration. So we can't just think that we'll have somebody that's consuming processed food daily, that is smoking, that is drinking, doing all of these harmful things to the body, and then essential oils or CBD are just going to come save the day. No, you give consideration to the fact that you want those essential oils of that CBD to have a good landing ground. You want those essential oils of that CBD to be able to be absorbed properly in a system that will accept them, right? So giving other consideration, your diet, your lifestyle, the other aspects of life that can make the CBD or the essential oils work together with the healthy body that it's going into. All right, so here is, and I will minimize again so you can see, here are two charts. They are talking about the chemical constituents on the left of essential oils, and then talking about the essential oils that may fall into that category. So when you're talking about, for instance, let's see, monoterpene alcohols, it's an antiseptic. They can be antiviral. They can stimulate the immune system. You may be talking about peppermint or eucalyptus or tea tree, or let's see, Ravensara. A lot of these essential oils have those, particular qualities. So you can go around the chart, and if anybody would like to see this chart, I can definitely send it to you. But you can go around the chart and just kind of match the chemical constituent with the essential oils that are in the same position on the next page. And you'll really be able to see that our essential oils have been around for a long time, and they do have some of the same benefits as some of the medications that we have with the decreased side effect profile, with something that can cause a little bit more symptomatic relief without causing more symptoms, right? So it's just always important to know that there are options. Our prescription medications have been carefully crafted. and our bodies understand our prescription medications, but they also understand our essential oils. They understand our CBD. Our bodies know what to look for. And we have, as Dr. Rita stated, an endocannabinoid system that can accept those cannabinoids. Our bodies understand plants. They understand how plants work. So they can accept those essential oils. Now, some safety considerations for essential oils: we don't want to apply to open wounds. If you do have a wound or something that you're applying essential oil to for pain, for instance, or anything that you're just trying to address, make sure that that wound scabs over a little bit first, and just even then, just apply it around that area. We want to keep away from the eyes and wash your hands after use. This is personal experience. I've gotten essential oil in my eyes, and what do? We run to the water to get the cold water and put on our face, but oil and water don't mix. So all you're doing is prolonging the opportunity for that oil to be in the eye. Make sure so you're going to use a carrier oil instead of that water. So that's coconut oil. Slap it on your face, slap it on your eye. Tell your patients, slap it on their eye. Patch testing a small area or diluting. We know this from topical preparations. Make sure you put it in an inconspicuous area so that the patient can really see, okay, does this affect me? Am I sensitive to this? And that way it won't be, if they are sensitive, it won't be in a space where everyone can see. Making sure that you let your patients know. We want us to be open about using botanicals in addition to our prescription medications. It's a both and. It doesn't have to be an either or. So make sure that they understand, now that you've heard all of this information, that you are open to them using botanicals, open to them using plant-based alternatives. And so to let you know when they are doing that. Some of your patients may be pregnant, nursing, have conditions that they see you often for, or on other medications that can interact with the essential oils. So since we don't want that, we want to encourage transparency, but also encourage openness to exploring a new option, exploring alternatives that will benefit our patients, as opposed to only sticking to the prescription medications. A 2 to 3 hour space between medications and essential oils. That also goes for medications and CBD. And I'd even extend that to 2 to 4 hours. It's a possibility we can incorporate these botanicals. We do not have to be scared of them. The spacing is key. More is not better, whether you're talking about essential oils or CBD. Essential oils are very volatile compounds that don't need a lot to affect a whole lot of change. So whether you're using it in the diffuser, whether you're rubbing some on your hand and inhaling the vapors, whether you're, if it can be ingested, whether you're suggesting that the patient take it in a veggie capsule along with some carrier oil, you do not need a lot of essential oil to affect change. Same works for CBD. Start low, go slow, increase as you need to. And then if we're diffusing, we talked about how those essential oils go into the olfactory bulb, hit the olfactory neurons. We do not need to be inhaling essential oils 24 hours a day. So diffusing for up to 30 minutes at a time, or if your diffuser needs to keep going because you're in a public space that has a diffuser, try to step away after about 30 minutes if you have to sit in front of the diffuser that long, and then come back. We don't want to overwhelm the senses. So that is my time for essential oils and the science behind them. I am truly appreciative of all the healthcare professionals, all the guests, all the business partners that are out this evening. And I'm sure Dr. Rita is going to open it up for questions. But if you are someone who is interested in figuring out more about CBD products in general, about essential oils, about the business that we do here at Wakana, you can join us at 8 p.m. So Dr. Rita, I will give it back to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joy. Fantastic presentation. We do have Dr. Peoples on. Crystal Peoples is a family practitioner. She's part of our Wakana Medical Advisory Board. And if you're available, you can unmute yourself there. If not, we understand that, Dr. Peoples. If there's any questions, you can put them in the chat. If there's no further questions and you are free at 8 o'clock, we would love for you to join us on our business overview at 8 p.m. You can get that link from the person that invited you. If you're a healthcare professional, we would like to put our contact information. Dr. Joy, if you can put our emails there for those healthcare professionals that may have to hop off and have more questions. My email is ritamd@wakana.com. Thank you so much, Dr. Joy Smith. and Dr. Joy can put hers there. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jewel. If there's no other questions, Dr. Peoples, that you want to unmute yourself, if you wanted to just give us a few words on, as a healthcare professional, why you said yes to CBD and really helping to help your patients understand the importance. You can do that. If not, we understand. At this moment, I don't see any questions.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Dr. Rita and Dr. Joy. It's been a pleasure and always a fantastic presentations. I always learn something new. And my why is that I wanted to be healthier. I wanted to try it for myself. And once I found out how much better I felt using more natural products, plant-based products, I wanted to share that with my patients. I've been a practicing family physician for over 30 years and got real comfortable writing prescription medications, but did not always feel real good about the potential side effects of these medications. So having an alternative or something in addition that is more natural and healthier for patients has been a blessing. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that information. And yes, I agree. You know, for myself personally, I started using the product 4 years ago, then introduced the products to my patients and family. And so excited to know that, you know, we do have an alternative that will give patients the holistic, natural wellness and balance that they're looking for to help support their insomnia, to help support their anxiety, to help support so many challenges that our patients are facing today. Again, in a plant-based way of addressing our health. And that's something, again, that we were never taught in pharmacy school or medical school. So being able to offer alternatives makes our patients happy, right? Because our patients really do look for us to give them that okay, that green light to proceed. And then also, you know, knowing that there, even with herbs, even with botanicals, that there potentially can be drug-drug interactions. So it's imperative that healthcare professionals really take the time to learn about this amazing plant that's been used medicinally for centuries that can be an alternative for our patients' health. So with that being said, I think that's it for us, Dr. Joy Smith and Dr. Peoples. We want to thank everyone for tuning in to our webinar. We really encourage you to work hard on getting healthcare professionals on the line. You know, let them know this presentation is 30 minutes. We were done in about 35, 40 minutes. Physicians, dentists, pharmacists, everyone for that matter, we're all busy. But I think this information is just very, very important during this time, during this season, during this global pandemic for our patients. So have a great, great evening. Hope to see all of you at 8 o'clock. If not, we'll see you next Tuesday evening. Thank you, Dr. Joy Smith.
Thank you, Dr. Rita. Thank you, Dr. People.
See you soon.
Thank you as well. Have a great evening, everyone.
You too.